Hi, everyone. It looks like I've got everyone trickled in and there's a slowdown of people that have started attending, so we'll get started here. I am Molly. I'm the Executive Director here at the RAL National Association, and I'm here with John Grove with Instant Nurse, and we're going to be talking about a scheduling solution for you guys. He's got all these different ideas. He's brainstormed with me and talked about different things that you guys may ask today, so I hope he can cover all the bases and answer any questions you guys may have about scheduling your staff, even throughout multiple different homes. So once again, you guys probably know the deal here, but if you want to ask questions, there's a questions tab over on the right-hand side. You can go over there and ask questions, and I will be the one to answer if you have technical difficulties or anything like that. Otherwise, questions for John will have to wait till the end, and he will let you know right before he's about to end, and we will take questions just after his last few slides. So John, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Molly. Can you see my screen okay?
I can see your screen.
Well, I appreciate, again, you setting this up, and I appreciate everybody joining me. I know it's after hours, so I promise to kind of get right to the point and really want to show you a few different things. I want to give you a sense of who we are at Instant Nurse and who we're helping and how we're doing that. So I'm going to show a few slides, and then I'm going to show you kind of a brief product demonstration so you could perhaps envision how this could work with your home or multiple homes. And then finally, we'll get to what the pricing is and what the next steps are should you choose to move forward with it. But as you can tell from the invite, we are a scheduling, online staff scheduling and communication tool. So we work a lot with homes and communities that are doing their schedule manually, paper, Excel, and really, help them be a little more efficient with everything that goes into that. I'm an entrepreneur like you. My business partner and I really looked hard at this, and we're not the only system out there. Perhaps some of you have worked with some systems out there. Some of them are easy, some of them are customizable, some of them are affordable, but we really wanted to package together those four things and bring something that was all of them to the table, and give particularly smaller assisted livings and providers a customized tool that can help certainly save time for you, free up time for some more important tasks, whether that's running your business or resident care, something that can, make some tweaks and improve some team communication and boost morale, particularly during what we're going through right now. Something that can help with reduce overtime when we can, and reduce frustration with these processes. Notice I didn't say eliminate frustration. I wish I could totally do that, but I think we can help reduce it. I'm going to show you a couple examples of some clients' manual examples of their schedule before we started working with them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. My thought is that one or two of them may resonate with you. But here's one, kind of a typical Excel-based type schedule. This is a traditional 3-shift system here. They've got some spots where they've got open needs and where people can fill things in on this one. We've got more of a handwritten one here. You've got your, again, traditional 3 shifts, and then you've got, I think you have an activities person down there with a different shift time. You've got some 12-hour shifts towards the bottom, and you've got some whiteout on there. So there's some different ways that y'all are making changes out there that we think we can help with. This is a clean-looking Word document that shows 4 different sides to assisted living. This is something that I'll show you in a minute that we can kind of mirror on our system. It could be 4 different sides or hallways. It could be 4 different homes with the same candidate pool. Those are all things we can take a look at tonight. And lastly, wow, this was a good project for us. So we were able to help these folks. And believe it or not, this was actually a very small facility that had a very, as I would call it, a very staff-friendly schedule. So they had lots of different shift times and things that we were able to help with. But I'm gonna X out of here and bring up the demo. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a brief moment, and then I'll come back. Let's see. Okay. Molly, does that look okay?
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so let me try to drag this down here. Okay, that's good. All right, so this is a look. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Maybe that'll help give you a better look at it. This is our online system. This is one of 3 screens. If you look down the left-hand side here, you're going to see 3 easy-to-use tabs. One of them is where you create schedules. One is where you view the schedule, which is where we're on now. And then there's some team message functionality that I alluded to earlier that I'm going to show you towards the end. Again, this is the view schedule portion, so I'm going to kind of work backwards. This is really what you're after, and it's going to give you the ability to see all your team members down the left-hand side, where they're at for scheduled hours for any given week, the types of roles that they can fill. And then what we would do is this, as I mentioned, customization. In this particular example, this is, again, a traditional, probably a larger building, not a larger building, but a medium-sized building with 3 different shift times. You got your first, your second, your third. So what we've been able to do here is kind of make those pop into different colors. We can even color code to your liking, whatever colors you wanted to put in there. But you see here, anything throughout this is customizable. So where this says second shift, 3 to 11, we can do an 8-hour shift, we can do 12-hour, we can do 4-hour, any interval that you want. We can call it second shift, we can call it day shift, home number 1, night shift, home number 3. So anything here is real flexible, and what you're going to see is when I switch over, it's going to correlate to the make schedule. That'll make more sense here in a few minutes. From here, it really puts you in control. You can see where people are at for hours. You can see the schedules. You can print. You can bring that up. You can print the weekly schedules or multiple weeks. You can isolate a single employee and print their schedule or a single date. And then when you go to print, obviously you can print those as well. Here's a view of the print of the week. You could save it well, actually I have it saved. You could save it as a PDF. You could print it. I've got some clients that'll even save it to Google Drive and send out a link. But again, you're in control of how you want to distribute that. I'm going to switch over to the Make Schedule tab and kind of run through that and kind of tie this together a little bit for you. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So what you're seeing here, and what we would do with any new home or homes or larger facility, or medium size usually, small to medium for us, is we would really ask you and understand what are your different shift times, what are your needs per shift. And in this example, you can see everything as it correlates to what you just saw, everything in blue is a first shift need here. So everything in blue is first shift. Scroll down, green is second shift, and third shift is in pink. So what we would do is build you a custom kind of grid. We can call these needs anything you want. I'll explain that more in a second. We can have these shift times say whatever you want. And well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you another look at a different layout right now. So this is more in line with, let me zoom out for a second. So this is another look. You notice the different colors. In this particular example here, this facility has one small home here, and we've called that home 1. So these are CNA needs for home 1. They've got their CNA needs for home 2 here. And then we have the ability also to add some floating or different shifts, such as this particular facility has a dietary need that actually floats between homes and has a different schedule, a different time. So they work 8 to 4. There's an RM that floats from 8 to 4, and there's transportation they chose to put on here. So again, this kind of gives you an idea of what, if you look at the shift times, they've decided to call this day shift, home 1, night shift, home 1, and the same thing with this example here. What we could also do, it'd be up to you, is we could actually put this night shift as a different color for home 1. So my point is that there's a good amount of flexibility there, and what we would do again is try to understand that just by asking you a few questions, and then we would come back and program this and give you a look at it. And usually on that call, it's about 70–80% ready, and you may say, well, I want to change the way what this says, I don't like the color green, those kinds of things, and then we would make those final tweaks and off you go. And we can typically do that in a matter of a couple days. So the first look you really get it when you get started, you're going to have that grid that accounts for all your shifts. You're going to be able to make sure you're on the correct week, which we are. A lot of our clients like to work, a couple weeks or a month at a time. So in that case, they can duplicate common schedules and copy them forward and work on different future weeks. And then really it's about filling open shifts, And at times, the scheduling process can seem to go on. And what we've been able to do is really put together an easy system where, if it's you as an owner doing the schedule, or somebody on your team can come in the morning and look at these open boxes, which are your open shifts. They can go to those and bring up a drop-down menu. And anybody in that drop-down is qualified to fill this specific role. That's how we would build it. So these are your CNA options for this particular shift. And a lot of times you may know that who would take a Sunday shift. Because it's set to your payroll week. A lot of times you'll know who would take that, and you may just drop and fill it in, fill in these open shifts like that. You may go along throughout the day or the week, and you might have a call out. If you do, you can assign it to somebody else, or you can open that shift up on the calendar. And what we've also done is given you the ability to send out that open shift in an easy text-based fashion. And I know we're not on a one-on-one call, so when I go back to the last slide here in a few minutes, I'll show you what those look like. But let's say there's a call out, or let's say that like this top right corner shift is a harder to fill one. Nobody wants this Saturday shift. So what you could do is you can send out a request, and it's going to go out to everybody on your team that's qualified to fill that shift. So as a CNA, in this case, they can look at that and say, yeah, I'll pick that up. And if they do, from their perspective, if they just plug that code in that comes along with it, they're going to get a message that the shift has been confirmed, and it's going to repeat that shift. And it's also on your end, when you come back to your desk and refresh, you're going to see that that shift has been filled in for you. So the system, the idea is the system, instead of doing, maybe postings and making those phone calls and group texts and, sometimes that time suck that occurs, you can lean on the system and let the system do some of that work for you. So that's a pretty exciting feature that's utilized quite a bit. what I'll do, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through that whole thing again, but what I will do is I want to show you what your options are when you send that out. Because if no matter how good somebody doing the schedule is, when open shifts occur or that stress hits, you don't often take into account cost. You just, you try to see, you take anybody to grab it. And what we've also given you the ability to do, and I'll slow this down, instead of just sending it, what you can do, depending on the urgency and the priority of that shift, you may decide, well, goodness, I don't want to send it to my PRN folks yet. I'd rather not send it to my part-time folks yet. And you say, well, I don't want to send it to anybody that's already scheduled for over 40 hours. And then you can send it out like that. And you can really, what you can do with these exclusions is you can steer that open shift to your lowest cost options first and give it a whirl and see if you can fill it at a lower cost. If you can't, you can always resend that out to everybody as the shift becomes a little more urgent. So that's definitely a nice feature for cost savings. Excuse me. One of the last things that I'll show you here is that third tab. We put some team message functionality in the system, and we knew that would be helpful, but I think the reason that this has been so popular for us is that it instantly comes over as a one-way text message. And what that does is, so you can choose whatever roles we put in here for you. You can choose any role on your team or your entire staff, and you can type a message of any length, and it's instantly going to go, if you send that, it's instantly going to go to the cell phones of those on your team. And again, it's one of those things that's been real popular. It's being used for certainly, your COVID updates and, training, urgent trainings that have come up, or team meetings. I've got a good number of clients that have started using it for employee recognition. Kind of copy and kind of share something good that happened, especially during this time. So it can be used in all sorts of ways. Molly's going to send out tomorrow with the recording kind of a real small, real short case study of a client of ours up in Michigan that had some major flooding, and the residents had to be moved to a safer place, and they use that to communicate with their staff throughout that process, again, because it was instant and direct, and that's an extreme example, of course. You may use it for a potluck lunch, but it is a nice tool to get the word out quickly and not rely on memos or emails or word of mouth. So with that, lastly, on that, I'll mention on that view schedule, you can also put vacation in there. You can put vacation in there that'll actually restrict people from being scheduled on the Make Schedule tab. You can note call outs to kind of keep a record of that if you wanted to. And always, depending on what date you're on, you can go back in time and reference past schedules, just because, if you needed to, or if there was some kind of an audit purpose, you can go back and that information would be there for you. Now, these 4 management tabs that I have up here, those are really what we use to kind of create the different roles on your team, to build the shift times and customize those, to build the needs that you see here and word those the way that you want them. As time goes on, I've gotten a certain amount of clients that like to get in there and make changes as they grow and do things. And I've got some that really just don't like to make those kind of changes, and they'll reach out to myself or our team to do that. And we're fine with either one. But I can tell you that there's one that you'll use, just the nature of our business with turnover and things like that, is the manage staff button. And that's going to allow you to instantly bring up your roster delete out an employee that's turned over, add a new one that's come in, that kind of stuff. So that's pretty easy access for you. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I want to show you on here. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause this again real quick and finish with a few slides. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, this is where I left off. So you can see how we could take something like this or these previous examples and you know, make some improvements and some more efficiency. Again, I'm going to reiterate, there's nothing wrong with what you see here. These examples, so, you know, they were designed to certainly to show the schedule. I think the difficulty is when things change, when people change, when schedules change, when duplication or errors occur. And again, it's hard to consider cost when you're trying to get a shift covered. So, you know, we feel a cloud-based system like ours allows you to manage these types of changes that we discuss from your home or your office, allows you to provide clear communications to your team. Really, with the system, kind of ensure a little more accountability for shifts that are accepted, and also allows you to plug holes immediately and efficiently. So again, we are not replacing anybody that's doing the schedule. We're just here as an option to improve the process. I wanted to show you real quick the two different types of the two different types of communications on this slide and the next. Now on the left-hand side, when an open shift goes out to those that are capable of filling it, it's going to look like what you see on the left. It's going to say, "Hey Samantha," and keep in mind all this is programmable as well, depending on how we set it up for you. So, "Hey Samantha, you have received a message from Magnolia Home. Day shift, home number 3, is available, you know, this Saturday, the 25th. And if you're interested, reply with this code." Now that code kind of seems long at first glance, but what we did, we wanted to do that because it adds a certain level of accountability. But to kind of counter how long it looks, you can type it in, but you can also you can tap it, which copies it and pastes it in instantly. And when Samantha does that, she's going to get the message immediately that the shift is confirmed. Day shift, it's going to repeat the shift as I just said from the previous on the left, and she's got it. What I don't show you on there is if the second person and beyond were to try and accept that shift, it would let them know that the shift has already been filled, and it repeats that shift time as well. The second type of communication would be a team message that I showed you here a second ago, and that would look something similar in a text-based format. And this one says, you know, we have an urgent, you know, PPE training this Friday. So that's just an example, one of the many examples that you could use this for. I'm sure you have your own ideas on what you could use that for, but again, these can instantly be sent to a certain role on your team or the entire staff. And the goal is to reduce, in both cases, to reduce the frustrating group texts and emails and calls and memos and those types of things. So a lot of our clients like the fact that there's no app downloads or you know, intense rollouts or anything. This is something that can be rolled out in several days. The only difference from a staff perspective is just receiving, the open shifts and some communications. And we actually even have a memo template for our clients that they can choose to use and alter to kind of get the word out about those communications and kind of build some excitement about the tool. And be happy to share that with you as well if you're interested. So lastly, I think we've covered the benefits as far as from a time standpoint and communication and the ability to maybe reduce some overtime. We've seen a lot of, just something simple like this can improve team morale. And then, one of the biggest things I want to get across to this diverse group is the flexibility that this offers. We feel, we're maybe a little biased, but we feel it's the most flexible scheduling solution in assisted living. It can be used from a one facility, small number of beds to create schedules and manage your direct care staff. You can incorporate other roles on your team, as I showed you, from a dietary or housekeeping or transportation. We can accommodate any shift times and account for employees that may float between homes. And really, as you grow, if you grow and add another home, or if you go into a small campus style, you can easily add homes in this same system by adding just a few shifts and a few staff and a couple more colors, and there you have it. You can accommodate that. So we feel from a pricing standpoint that this is something that this is an investment. It's an investment that should pay off pretty quickly if you can save a few hours per month doing the schedule or more, or if you can reduce overtime on a couple shifts per month. The pricing, retail price on our website is $159 a month. We've talked with Molly and feel that we'd like to offer for $99 a month for your organization and include a 60-day trial. And we do that. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, like I mentioned earlier, like you. So we understand what it's like to own a small business and deal with other companies. So we really only want you to use it if you're seeing the value and the ROI. If you don't like it, we don't want you to use it. So there's no tricks or auto renews or anything like that. So we want to give you an adequate amount of time to test drive it, and we feel that you'll like it and see the value. And if you don't, that's okay too. Again, this includes all the customization for your home or homes and training and support. And I mentioned we can start within a few days. So we've got a small, passionate team behind us. And if you're willing to give us a few minutes or a little of your time, we can typically get you started, within a handful of days. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this a few moments ago, but if you do have some questions that you want to type into Molly, you can go ahead and do that now. If you'd rather wait till the next slide, I'm going to give my email address and contact information. You can certainly email me directly this evening or anytime, and I'll get back to you very quickly. So as far as next steps, how to get started, you can, with that pricing special I just mentioned, we've created a link that allows you to kind of sign up for that. It's similar to other online, things that you would do online. You can select the option, goes to a cart. It's going to ask you a couple questions, and then as soon as we see that order, we're going to reach out to you and schedule a brief implementation call so we can gather that appropriate information from you. So if you do want to email me, I can send you that link. I've also given that link to Molly, and she's going to send that out with the recording, I believe, tomorrow. But my cell phone number is on here as well if you want to give me a ring tomorrow or anytime. And certainly our website is on there too. So with that, I want to thank you again. And Molly, is there any questions that have come up that I can maybe address?
Absolutely. And some of these may be a little bit of a repeat, but these are great questions. So I'm going to ask you them just as the go here. So is there a mobile app or is it web only is our first question?
Right now, it's web only and it's text-based communication.
Okay, perfect. That was another one of the questions.
Let
Only
me
text, there's no emails?
say one thing as far as from an admin standpoint. It's really from a cell phone, internet cell phone use. It's really not designed to build your schedule and do anything. We may get to that point at some day. But what you could do is that if you had a call out or you had something that you needed to send a shift out, it is possible to log on through your phone and do what I just showed you. That is possible.
Okay, so your website is mobile friendly. It's just not an app.
Yes, I wouldn't say it's extremely mobile friendly, but to accomplish an urgent matter like filling an open shift and those type of things, absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's good to know. And so with those messages that get sent out, there's no email. It's just straight a text message and you're sending it from your computer, correct?
That's
To your other
That's
staff.
correct. You would have access to immediate type of message into either a specific role or your entire staff, and it goes out instantly to their cell
Okay.
phone.
And this is another interesting question. And this is probably somebody who's in the early stages of their home and they're thinking about these things. At what scale have you seen people decide this is unmanageable to do manually, like with Excel? As far as how many caregivers have you seen somebody trying to do this themselves, and what is the experiences you've seen?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it really varies. I mean, we've got places that have eight to 10 beds and a handful of caregivers that find this useful for organization, for communication. We've got some smaller homes that a little bit larger than that really struggle and kind of lean on us. And then certainly we've got a little bit larger facilities in our base that rely on it too. So, it varies. Some places need more help than others. There's no doubt about it. If you're kind of on the fence, we encourage you to maybe try it out with your team and see if it brings value. And that's why it's not uncommon for folks to kind of be on the fence like that and just not sure. And that's why we offer that trial. And in this case, we're doing kind of an extended trial so you can test drive it. So feel free to do that. And we don't mind putting in the time. And if ultimately it's not a fit, then there's no hard feelings. You don't have to continue.
Perfect. And so this is a question that's kind of come up a couple times here, so I'll kind of condense it. But as far as if that person filled that shift and actually attended that day, does it have a capability to say, hey, this person did actually do this shift this day and go feed into a payroll system?
Oh, that's a really good question. So right now we are non-integrated, kind of a standalone scheduling tool. Our client base is made up of primarily folks that are doing it by hand or by paper or Excel. We do have a good amount of in our base that also have a payroll system that has a scheduling component that really just isn't user friendly and conducive to what they need to do on a function wise on a daily basis. So they choose to use ours on the front end, but currently it does not tie to the payroll.
All right. And so I know you said that it kept track of the previous schedules. How long does it keep track of the schedules? And does it say if the schedule was changed? Does it keep track of if the schedule was changed?
Oh, that's a good question too. Now you can go back as far as you have schedules in there. You simply go through that calendar. It's by payroll week. You kind of scroll to the correct month and plug it in, and it'll show that to you. No, it would show you what the end result was. So if you ended up making a final change, it would reflect all those changes. But again, it's not directly tying to the payroll system. But generally, by the time you're done with filling in those boxes and making final changes, it's pretty up to date.
Great. Is there a record of the messages that you sent and the time that you sent them? So going back to your messaging system.
Yeah, there is. It's not something that is that's accessible from the platform. Okay, but there's been times when there's been an important situation arose, and that request has come into our team, and we're able to go in the back end and pull that data. So it does exist. It's just not something you just kind of click on and grab, but we can grab it for you.
Great. And our last question here, I'm going to combine a little bit. It says, is the app on a computer in the home, or is it in the cloud and reached from anywhere? And does it run on Apple as well as Google/Microsoft?
Yes. Yeah, it's a cloud-based system, so it can be accessed from anywhere.
With any operating system, obviously. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal because it's in the cloud. Okay, great.
Yeah, what I didn't show you is, when you go to our website, and you're going to see a sign-in button in the top right. So any new user, like I mentioned, we get you set up, give you a look at it, get you your stamp of approval, and get you started, and give you a username and password. So once you have that username and password, you can change it, but really you're going to log in. And then from that point forward, really that sign-in button is going to say My Calendar. So you're really probably going to have that up all the time, and you can click My Calendar, and it's going to bring up your customized platform whenever you want.
Great. And we're getting some good feedback too. Everybody's saying, I really like this. This is great. Some people are saying they like that it's only on the computer. So that's good. Good. I want to thank you for coming. That seemed to be our last question there. So, oh wait, nope, there's more. Hold on one second. I just spoke too soon. It always happens. Can multiple people access the calendar?
That's a good question. The answer is yes. I can tell you that we usually create one login, and most commonly there's usually a point person, and sometimes there's a backup and maybe somebody else. But it's not designed right now for a bunch of different people to be in there. I guess it could be done. I just don't know how clean that would be if multiple people are making changes. So 9 times out of 10, there's usually about 2 to 3 people in an organization, primarily 1 to 2, that usually do the schedule and send out communications.
Okay, and then kind of tying into that, how many employees can you put in that system?
Oh, you can put, gosh, I don't want to say as many, but you could put a lot in there. Okay. When we first started, this is the difference. I showed you some examples that were pretty short. Now, I showed you a 2-home example. You could add 3, 4, 5 in there, and it would still look fine because you can scroll down. I think early on we had a big skilled nursing facility wanted to use this, and we're like, fantastic. So we went ahead and got them set up, and they had darn near 90, to 100 places, and I was building this out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is taking up a lot of real estate. There's a lot of scrolling, and but all in all, they still liked it because it was better than what they were currently using. But this generally works and is much cleaner for a small to medium-sized facility, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so going back to that question of how many users can you have as far as admins that are in there, it sounds
Oh,
like you could
I
use
thought, yeah,
one login for everyone, right? So if somebody was a facility manager doing the schedule, but they wanted their admin to be able to see how each home is doing and how the schedule's going, they could log in multiple at one time. Is that possible?
yes, no, that's extremely common. That example is
Okay,
extremely common. Yes.
great, great. Um, So next question says, does this track a staff member's hours in real time or just what the schedule was not actually worked? And I think we did go over that a little bit.
Yeah, those hours are scheduled hours. What's nice is about this system is that you can always kind of reference that when you're creating it. On the view schedule, you can see how many hours somebody's already scheduled for. And the second part of that is when by the time you're sending out some open shifts that need to be filled, that schedule is generally pretty full. So that's when you can kind of incorporate, goodness, I don't want to send it to anybody that's already 40 hours. So it works, that works well.
Great. And then this last one says, can this be used as a system of record for the Department of Labor if they were to come and audit? So that might be a big question to answer right there.
Oh, I wish I could give you an official answer. What I've been told by some clients is that it does. So don't hold me to that. I don't know the legalities of that, but people have purchased this system with that being one of their main buying points because they want a record of the schedule. So, I can think, and thinking about those clients, they were keeping paper schedules in kind of a shoebox type thing format prior to that. So my hunch is yes, so I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Well, if no one else has any other questions, I won't speak too soon. I know this was wonderful information, and this is exactly why I wanted to share it with you guys. Instant Nurse is a smaller company just like us that understands the needs of smaller care homes, and I want to bring you guys vendors and information that works for you as a small care home. So I thank you guys for coming out today. I thank you, John, for being here with me. My next webinar is it's this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, once again in the evening. So thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. And I will be sending out the recording and all of the other links that John has sent me with the case study tomorrow morning. So you guys can expect that tomorrow. If you want it sooner, go ahead and send me an email and I'll shoot it over to you. All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
everyone. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Molly.
Yeah, of course. Have a great evening, everyone.